Okay, and welcome back to Just Get to the Game. We are now going to start 1861. I'm going to go from spring to summer. My card drawer is going to be 5 cards in this case. So I've got my 5 cards laid down because the war starts to escalate. A couple of things I did last game. I noticed I used SSPs and units interchangeably. May have confused you a little bit. I'll continue to use SSP referring to, or SP strength point, which is the number on the chit or in the Army, and I'll try to refer to units as the equivalent in Army units. So one SP is about 6,000 Army units. So sorry for the confusion on that. The second thing is the first turn of the game does skip the entire reinforcement phase, and I'm going to do it this turn for you because it starts in the second turn. So the first thing you do is you place reinforcements. Union goes first. They get 8 troops that they can put basically right into Washington, D.C. And I'm going to go ahead and do that, put them right in the capital. So I've got 8 troops right in the capital. And now you can see I've got 8 troops in the capital. I've got 4 troops in the Army of the Potomac. I've got the 1 troop up there in Harper's Ferry. And the Rebs only have 3 units against me, so that's something to keep in mind. Next thing, I got 6 units that are going to go in kind of the middle of the country, and I could basically put them anywhere in Ohio or Indiana, and I am going to stick them right in Cincinnati, Ohio with the 1 unit I have there already. That's going to give me 7 units in Ohio. You can see I'm already thinking about adding to this army, forming an army here, and then I get 4 more units that the Union can basically put anywhere in, I can put them in St. Louis, I can put them in Missouri. Sorry, these 6 that I put down had to go in Ohio or Indiana. I'm sorry, Ohio and Indiana. I put them in Cincinnati, Ohio, and the other 4 can go in Illinois. And I'm going to put them, again, they can go in Illinois or Missouri. I'm going to put them right in Cairo. So I'm ready to start my my launch down to take over the backside of the Confederacy. So you can see I just put a lot of Union troops out. The next thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and put the Confederate troops out. So the first thing we're going to do, remember, we're going to roll for each blockade zone. And I'm going to try to get a runner port to put a unit into. So I'm going to first roll for the West Gulf zone. I need to exceed a 1. I got a 2, so that works. So they'll get 1 unit that kind of brings some supplies in. I'm going to put them right into Sabine City. These arrows that you see are the blockade runner ports. So that's where you can put a unit if you succeed in the roll. I'm going to go to the East Coast blockade zone. I roll again. I got a 6, so I'll get an additional unit there. And I like putting someone right into New Orleans. So I start to build up some defense in case the Union drops into Fort St. Philip and Jackson. Then I'm going to go move out to the South Atlantic blockade zone. Okay, I rolled a 1. So the blockade was successful for the Union here, which means I am going to lose 2 strategic will points, and I will not get a unit. So remember I told you about the negative and positives before. Confederacy starts with 100 positive. You can see the yellow there. Here's how that works. I'm taking a reversal in fortune or fortune of war. I'm going in the reverse. I was positive. I'm losing points. I'm going negative. That's a penalty. So normally I would lose 2. So my 100 would go to 98. But because I was positive, I'm flipping negative. I'm going to lose 3 more and go to 95. If I reversed the fortune of war, I was doing favorably. Now I'm doing negative, so I take a 3 penalty when I switch from favorable to negative. A little hard to remember in the beginning. You play it enough times, it becomes gameplay. So now I've got the Union winning 98 to the Confederacy 95. And then we'll go for the last block zone, the North Atlantic blockade zone, and I did get a unit there. And I'm going to like to put a unit right into Wilmington, North Carolina. Okay, notice I made one little mistake here, which I'm going to fix pretty quick. So when I rolled for the blockade zone, you can see the West Gulf blockade zone goes from Sabine City to New Orleans. So I couldn't have put a unit in Sabine and New Orleans. So I'm going to take the unit that I put in Sabine, take them out of there, and I'm going to move them into the where I passed the test for the east, and that'll kind of fix what I did here. Thanks. So again, the South also gets 9 strength points, 1 for each of the 11 states. So you decide which of them to put them into. I also could have gotten 4 for the blockade zone, but I only got 3 this turn. And if I had controlled Kentucky or Missouri, I'd get an additional 1 or 2. So where do I want to start putting my units for the South? Well, right away, I know I'm going to want to put 1 unit right into, I have a feeling Sidney Johnson's going to get wrecked here. So I'm going to put a unit right into Manassas for 3. So now I've got 3. And again, you got to be in supply to do this, by the way. So all my units are in supply that I'm adding this to. So I added 1 to Manassas, which is Virginia. So I can't put another one in Virginia. I can put 1 in North Carolina, even though 1 came in the port. And I'm going to put them as far up as I can go. And I'm going to put them in Weldon, North Carolina. Next place I can go, I can put 1 in South Carolina. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Again, I'm going to put them as close to the front as I can. So I'm going to put them in Marion, South Carolina. Coming across the board, I'm going to go ahead and put 1 right into Tennessee. And I'm going to put them into where Albert Johnson's got some troops building. So that's 2. 3, I still got some more left. Let's see where I want to put some more units. Let's go out here to Gainesville, just so we've got some troops blocking Fremont if he wants to come down. Now, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and put him in Fayetteville, so Price can probably consolidate some units here and maybe make a move this way. I'm going to put another 1 in Texas, Sabine City. I don't like Sabine City to fall. It's an easy way for the North to come in and take over Texas, which is really hard to get back once I lose it. Still got 4 left. I went 1 in Tennessee. I'm going to put 1 in Mississippi. Definitely got to get 1 in Georgia. I'm going to put them really high up in Georgia. I'm going to put them in Dalton, Georgia. And then I'm going to put 1 up in, let's see, I did North Carolina, South Carolina, I did Georgia, I did Virginia, I did Tennessee, I didn't do Alabama, so let's go ahead and put 1 in Alabama. We'll go in Tuscumbia, Alabama. And my last unit is going to make its way to, I can go Missouri. And I'll put 1 with, I'll put 1 right up here in Panola, Missouri. And then my units are placed. After you place your units, the next thing you do is you conduct strategic moves. Union goes first. You can move basically by rail and reinforce places, the units you just placed down or other units. And if you have an army, I'm not playing with the optional rule, you can also move units to an army if that's not connected by rail, but it is in support and is in its zone of control and has supply. In this case here, you can see the Army of the Potomac. I'm going to take 6 units and move my Army of the Potomac from 4 all the way up to 10. So I'm going to go ahead and move that from 6 to 10. And then I'm going to take my 2 units, extra 2 units, and I'm going to drop them down here with Fort Monroe with Butler, just in case I want to do a naval move next turn and have Butler take off for one of the posts. At least he's got some troops with him. So now on your board here, you have this little chit that keeps track of how many strategic moves you can make. I don't necessarily use them. I do recommend it when you first start to play the game. So I just moved 8 units, so I can move 7 more. And again, the Union can strategically move from a port to a port that are both in their control. Okay, I got some more moves left. I got 7 left. So what am I going to do with those 7? I'm going to take this guy in Indianapolis. I'm going to move him into Cincinnati. That's my 8th move. I am going to go ahead. Again, I'm moving all by rail. I am going to take the 1 unit I have in Cairo and go 1, 2, 3, 4 and put them with Fremont. I'm going to take my man from Springfield by rail and move him all the way into Fremont's army as well, or his corps. And one more move left. I'll go ahead and take this one unit in Pittsburgh. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to move 1, 2, 3. They normally move 5, 4, 5. And when they're on rail, they get an extra 2 moves. So I can go 6, 7. Armies don't get that bonus. Units do. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put them right here with the Army of Cincinnati. So I've moved all the units I want to move with the Union. And now it's the Confederacy's turn. Confederacy only gets to move 7. And again, that's all on this cheat board here. Your Confederate Army strength does have a place where this marker goes that I just showed you the little train, and you can just count down as you go, or just remember. So I can move 7. So I'm going to go ahead and move the unit. It's in Virginia up to Johnston. That's 1. I'm going to move Weldon up to Johnston. That's 2. I'm going to move this unit in Wilmington. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't make it up to Johnston, so I'm just going to leave him in the city. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Leave him in the city there. So I just moved 2. I moved 4 units. The South's got 3 more units to move. Again, it's got to be by rail, so I can't move him into here because there's no army and it's a road. So I can't do that. Let's see. Okay, I can get 2 units up here into Albert Johnson by going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to add 2 more units to him. And if I counted all that right, I got 1 move left. And I will go ahead and take this unit here in Oxford and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I built a pretty nice force here with Albert City Johnson. The next thing you would do after you place all of your units and do your moves with them and you've exhausted them, generals get placed and they're hidden. So you're going to place them on the backside. Okay, it's when you're playing solo, you kind of know where folks are going. I don't do it randomly. So what I look at is what armies do I want to build up? And I know I want to build a big army up here in Cincinnati. I got a nice bunch of troops there. So I want to bring someone with a good attack rating and that might be cheap to use. So the problem with that is I also got to look at the cost of the generals. So I'm going to take Pope. Pope is a 4. That's his political value. You're going to see why that's important in a minute. He's a 2 to activate, and he's a 1, 0. Means he does get a +1 when he attacks. So I put Pope in Cincinnati. And in case there's a counterattack out there, I'm going to move Rosecrans with him, so he gets a +1 on. You know what? I'm gonna move Burnside with him. Burnside has a 2 to activate as well, and he's got a 1 defense. So at least I get a 1 attack and a 1 defense with that unit. Where else do I want to potentially build an army? Well, I got Cairo here with 4 units. I can't build an army there yet because I pulled my unit out, and I did want to do that. But I can activate those 4 if I give them a general. So I'm going to go ahead and give them, I'm going to put Halleck out there. He's a +1 strength and a +1 defense. And again, on this side of the board, it tells you all the generals that come in. And I'm just kind of filling it up now. I've got Banks, I've got McClellan, I've got Rosecrans and Buell and a few others. So I'm going to put McClellan into the Army of the Potomac. So I'm going to put him right here into the Army as another general in that force. I'm also going to put Rosecrans in there as well. So my Army of the Potomac now has 3 generals in it. There is a limit of generals per strength point that you have to adhere to. That's easy stuff. I'll get to it if it comes into conflict. I got 2 generals left. I got Buell and Banks. And I'll go ahead and put, I'll put Buell with Halleck over here. No, I'll put Buell with Fremont, actually. No, let's put Buell with Fremont, and we'll put Banks with Halleck. Again, that would all be secret. You wouldn't see that. But then the South gets to go, and they would go next. Again, these would all be hidden, and then they'd get revealed later. So as I go to reveal what I have, I've got Jeb Stuart. Jeb is Cav, 2 strength, and a 2 defense. And he gets extra bonuses as a cavalry, and he's going to help the Army of Virginia do a lot. So when he goes into the game, okay, couple options. I'm going to put him right into the Army. So I am not going to take this chit off. I'm going to take this chit and put it right into the Army. Oh, I don't have an Army yet. I can't do that. Sorry. So I do have to do this. So I'm going to take this chit and I'm going to replace it with his unit. And what that does, a couple of things. Why is he so hard to find? Is he Stewart? Fitzlee, Van Dorn, Morgan. Okay, I'm gonna replace him with this guy. He goes on the board. Now, when he goes on the board, he's actually gonna replace one of your SP's strength points. So 1 strength point will come away. He will go on the board, and he'll be added into that group with those 2 generals. I still have Bragg and Smith left that I have not activated or not placed yet. I'm gonna go ahead and put, I'm knowing I'm gonna wanna create an army out here and potentially one here at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and put Bragg with Polk. Nope, changed my mind. I'm gonna put Kirby Smith with Price, because that's gonna give me a +1 on the attack. And then I will put Bragg with, I'm gonna put him with Albert Sidney Johnson. And then all my generals will be placed. And then you would reveal them all once that's done. And then you would deal your strategy cards out. And I've done that already. So again, if there's a campaign in either side, they get to go first. There is a campaign card in the South. I'm sorry, if the Confederacy has a campaign, they can go first. And they're gonna wanna go first. I can conduct up to 2 moves or conduct 1 special army size move. You can see here, this is the first one I think I'm showing you that's got a gray and a blue, means either side can use it. The reason why I want to do this is, my first move I want to do is, I honestly have not looked at the cards. I've laid them down. You can say bull. I honestly haven't. I just laid them down. This is the first time I'm looking at the left. I'm going to go ahead and move my unit from New Orleans to Fort Philip Jackson. And the reason why I'm doing that is I know there's a card in the Union hand that I am going to cheat now. Okay, ironic, they do have it. So that's funny. Okay, I did not plan that, swear to God. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and take Fort Philip Jackson and put a unit there, because I know the game and I know that there's a card that the Union can basically just place a political control marker in Fort Philip Jackson, and that's gonna open up the area to them. And I like to do this turn 1 or 2 every game I play, because I've gotten burnt by it. So I do get to do 2 campaigns, so 1 or 2 moves, or 1 special army size move. No strength point, general, army marker. We move twice with the same campaign card, but you must move a different force each move. So I'm doing that move right away. The second move I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my, I am worried that an attack from the Potomac will just crush me right now. So I am actually going to pull all of this back right now into the Capitol. And I'm just going to sit tight, because I am absolutely worried that I got a lot there, but I haven't formed an army yet. And without an army, the Army of the Potomac is going to have some big pluses against me, and they're just going to freaking like wreck me. So they can still come down and do that, but now I'm going to have a lot of pluses if he does do that. So I feel good about that. I'm going to stay there. And that's going to be the Confederates' first turn. They're down to 4 cards. The Union goes next, just to show you that I had it. Again, it wasn't planned, but I do have it. And if you read that card, what it basically says is Ship Island, Key West. The Union blockade level gets increased 1 more. So now it's going to be even harder for the South to bring in troops. In addition, if Fort Philip Jackson did not contain a Confederate SP, I could place a PC marker there. I am telling you guys, there's a couple cards in this game that if they come out early in the game and you were not ready for them, I think they do hurt you a little bit more. I don't want to say that they're broken. There's a card that can take an SP away from, let's say, the South, 2 SPs in different locations. In a turn 1, that's rough. because a lot of the generals are only with one SP, and you can lose 2 of them and put your 2 generals back on the track, and it's tough to recover from. You can, it's just tough. So the Union played that card. We go back to the South. The South looks at their cards and they say, you know what? We're going to play this Chickamauga card. Ooh, that's a pretty good card. But I need to create an army. This is a tough one. So I've only got 3 ones left for the South. They are a Union event, a Southern event, and a both event. To create an army, I need a 2 or 3 card. I got this really good card, Chickamauga, which lets me move 5 SPs during strategic movement to the same space with a Confederate general who is then activated normally and must attempt to basically attack. So it's a great way to like quickly bring troops together and make an attack. I also need to make an army, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to use this card for the South, drop it. I'm going to take all of these units off the board. And here's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you how this works. So I'm going to put the fort back on. So I've got to make someone the commander of the army. I'm going to make Joe Johnston the commander of the army. I'm not going to suffer any political will for that because he is an 8 and he's higher. Well, I am. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to put him as the commander, and I'm going to put him right in that box here. I'm going to put Beauregard as the second in command, and I'm going to put Stewart as his cavalry, and I am going to suffer a penalty. Why am I suffering a penalty? Because I've got a general with a higher rank on the board that doesn't have an army yet. That's Albert Sidney Johnson. And again, due to politics, people in the South wanted Albert Sidney Johnson to have his army. He doesn't have it. So I'm going to suffer a penalty here of 2 points. So strategic will is going to drop 2 more for the South because, man, the senators, the politicians, they're not happy that Albert Sidney Johnson didn't get his army. Then I'm going to take the 5 SSPs. I'm sorry, I've got 6 SSPs that will get converted into my army. So I will then take this Army of Northern Virginia strength point. I'll put it on the track at 6. And then I will take the army marker and I will put that on Richmond. And now I'm very formidable because I get a whole bunch of pluses when I go on the attack now. And I will explain that all to you in a few moments. So basically, when you're creating an army, the army construction is pretty cool. So if you remember, I created the Army of Northern Virginia. And what I did there is you get your little SSP marker, you put it on the sides of the army. I'm going to put it to 5. And then you put my general in charge. So I put Joe Johnston, again, because his rating was an 8, which makes him higher ranking than Beauregard, which is a 5. And then I've got Stewart, the cavalry, that can sit the cavalry spot. And why that's really going to be really good for the Army of Northern Virginia is when they go on the attack now, they're going to get a bonus of +1 for Joe Johnston, +2 for Stewart, that's 3, +1 for Beauregard is +4 on their attacks. Their defenses are going to be +2 for Johnson, +2 for Stewart, 4 +1 for Beauregard, 5. So very, very powerful. In addition, if they ever want to retreat, you take Joe Johnston's number. Remember, you got to roll his defense to retreat. But if you have cavalry, you get to add 2 to that. So it's a +4 basically for the Union to retreat or the Confederacy to retreat, or any army in that case. Also, we haven't done interception yet. And interception is going to be a key thing to do, which is basically if the Union Army or the Confederate Army moves in with one space of each other, the other army can move into that space before the army gets there. We go back to the Union. Union's got some cards to play. Trying to think of what I'd like to do. I can still attack Fort Phillip and Jackson because I got this strategy card here where the Union may make a naval move. But I also know I want to get my armies going. And again, you got to look at your hand. I'd love to do this. Remember, I buffed up Butler. I'd love to come down and attack Fort Phillips Jackson with this card because it lets me activate that general who's a 3. But because of this event, I can activate him with this card. But then again, the Union also similarly has man, just about some ugly cards too. They're not bad, they're just all ones, and I can't create an army if I do that. And I want to get Burnside's army going. So I'm going to play this card too to create an army. I'm going to pull Burnside off the board. And first of all, I've got Burnside, who's a 6, and Pope, who's a 4. Automatically, Burnside will lead that army. I'm going to call this the Army of the Tennessee. So the commanding general will be Burnside. Second command will be Pope. Because I've got generals on the board higher than 6 for the Union that do not have an army, like Fremont out here, the Union is going to lose 2 strength points. So they're going to drop down 1, 2. Doesn't matter how many you have that are higher. If you have any, you're going to lose 2 strategic will points. The army then is going to be valued at 6, 7, 8, 9. So I will take the same markers again. The SP marker for the Army of the Tennessee. And I'm going to go ahead and put that a 9. So I got some big armies going out here for the Union. And I will put the Army of the Tennessee marker up in the Ohio. We go back to the Union, the Confederacy. Man, the Confederacy would really love to make another army, maybe here with Albert Sidney Johnson, but they can't because they don't have a 1 or 2 card. And I can't even activate any of my generals either, which really stinks. So what I'm going to do with the South is, ooh, that's interesting. I just don't have enough troops up there for this card. That's a good card. It lets me basically move 2 SSPs. I'm going to go ahead and play Wilson's Creek for 1 point. Now I'm going to play Mosby's Raiders for 1 point. I'm going to use it for the 1 to move a unit 5. I'm going to take my unit down in Fayetteville, and I'm going to move it up to Springfield. And I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there. Back to the Union. Union also doesn't have a lot of good cards. I know the South has only got 2 cards left, so they're going to play Confederate Railroad Delegation. Degradation. Basically, I can remove a card from their hand. So if I didn't know, and I thought maybe the Confederacy was trying to hold 1 good card to the end, here's a chance to try to get rid of it. So I'll discard that card. It does go back to the Confederacy. Confederacy's only got 1 card left. It's a 1 point. I'm going to go ahead and move my unit in Kansas City into Lexington. Actually, I can't do that. An SP, a strength point, cannot, remember, by itself, without a general, cannot invade a neutral, enemy-controlled neutral territory. So he couldn't do that. So I can't do that. Brrr. I'm going to take the unit in Panola and basically go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and get into Albert Sidney Johnson's force so that maybe next turn, I know I'm going to get hit with some attrition, but I'm just trying to build up for a nice army size confrontation here. We go back to the Union. They got 2 cards left because, again, Confederacy played 1 and then discarded 1. They're going to go ahead and play a 1 point Balls Bluff to go ahead and put a Union marker in Jefferson City. So now I own 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to play my last 1 card to put another Union marker down in Greenville, Missouri. That will end the turn. So again, a quick turn. The game can play quick. If you get someone that sits here, and you will, when you start to play the game, you're going to spend a lot of time thinking your moves out, and that can make these turns last a lot longer. But again, a quick turn, a lot of build-up, a lot of army construction. Union was kind of licking their wounds from a first round, really whipping that they got up there in Manassas. They really built their army out. Didn't have enough cards to move that army, but they did add some forces to it. Built another army out here in Cincinnati, and they're getting ready to build another army or 2. Same thing with the South. South pulled all the way back to Virginia. And again, it's going to be interesting on what happens next turn. Next turn, your hands will go up to 6 cards each, so more moves, more actions, and only 2 more generals will come on the board. Pemberton, who's a 3 activation, but Van Dorn will come on. And Van Dorn is a 1-point activation and a strength of 1. And man, he used well. He can do pretty well. So at the end of your turn, what do you do here again? We dealt the strategy cards. We conducted our strategy rounds. So let's look at any political control changes. So Union. So the Union's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've got 7 spots in Missouri, and all you needed was 7 to 10 to take control. So for the rest of the game, Missouri falls to the Union. The Union will get 10 strategic will points. Remember, the Union was on negative, so this is a reversal because it's going to positive. So they will go from 96. 10 points will put them at 106. And when you go from negative to positive, you get a 2-point bonus and you turn your chit to positive. So the score is now 108 to 93. So the Union was like, hey man, we didn't do a lot, but we convinced Missouri not to back the Confederacy. We're going to take that as a win. That's going to rally some of the North. Now we're going to go through attrition. So a couple things to look at. The armies of Tennessee and Potomac are both greater than 7, so they're going to lose 2 units each due to attrition. So they're going to drop down respectively. You come down here, the army of Northern Virginia is only going to lose 1 because they're in the 6 range. Then you got to look at where you have more than 3 units on the board. So 1, 2, I've got 3 units sitting in Ironton, so 1 will get absorbed to attrition. Banks, if you remember, had 4 units. He's going to lose 1 to attrition. Albert Sidney Johnson's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, lucky 6. So he'll lose 1 to attrition, which is important because he can form an army right away next turn with his 5 units. We'll come back out here. Burnside is sitting with 3 units, so he will lose 1 and drop down to 2. Again, I was hoping to make a naval move there. Just didn't have the cards to do it. I did raise the blockade level, so that was pretty cool. That was a quick turn. So again, next turn will be fall of 1861. We have 2 generals coming only for the South, Pemberton and Van Dorn, nothing for the Union. And then it's important to look at the turn after that, because the turn after that, the South gets Robert E. Lee, great leader, Wheeler, Forrest, awesome cav general, Morgan, and the Union only gets Curtis and Stoneman. And then the turn after that, the Confederacy gets Stonewall Jackson and Longstreet, and the Union only gets Pleasanton. So it's really not until spring of 1863 when Grant gets on the board that it starts tipping in the general favor for the Union, in my opinion. But in this case, that's how this turn will end. Pretty quick turn. And we will be back later to take on the fall of 1861. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you. So basically, when you're creating an army, the army construction is pretty cool. So if you remember, I created the Army of Northern Virginia. And what I did there is you get your little SSSP marker, you put it on the sides of the army. I'm gonna put it to 5. And then you put my general in charge. So I put Joe Johnston, again, because his rating was an 8, which makes him higher ranking than Beauregard, which is a 5. And then I've got Stewart, the cavalry, that can sit the cavalry spot. And why that's really going to be really good for the Army of Northern Virginia is when they go on the attack now, they're going to get a bonus of +1 for Joe Johnston, +2 for Stewart, that's 3, +1 for Beauregard is +4 on their attacks. Their defenses are going to be +2 for Johnson, +2 for Stewart, 4, +1 for Beauregard, 5. So very, very powerful. In addition, if they ever want to retreat, you take Joe Johnston's number. Remember, you got to roll his defense to retreat. But if you have cavalry, you get to add 2 to that. So it's a +4, basically, for the Union to retreat, or the Confederacy to retreat, or any army in that case. Also, we haven't done interception yet. And interception is going to be an awesome key thing to do, which is basically if the Union Army or the Confederate Army moves in with one space of each other, the other army can move into that space before the army gets there. So for instance, if I had an army in Springfield and I had an army in Port Hudson or a unit, and the army in Springfield, for whatever reason, moved to Baton, that's a bad example. If I had an army in the Grand Gulf and an army in Winchester, and the army in the Grand Gulf wanted to attack the army in Winchester and moved into Holmesville, the army in Winchester could attempt to intercept, and they would basically move from Winchester, get to Holmesville first, and get a +2 bonus on the defense. It's basically surprising the attacker with a surprise counter there. There's still the defense in that situation, but they get that +2. And to get the interception, you basically have to roll your defense +2 for any cavalry. So you get a good chance of doing that. Okay, that'll be it. Hope you enjoyed it for today. And we are going to conclude this turn with a nice little look at the situation at the end of the year. Okay, notice I made one little mistake here, which I'm going to fix pretty quick. So when I rolled for the blockade zone, you can see the West Gulf blockade zone goes from Sabine City to New Orleans. So I couldn't have put a unit in Sabine and New Orleans. So I'm going to take the unit that I put in Sabine, take them out of there, and I'm going to move them into the where I passed the test for the east, and that'll kind of fix what I did here. Thanks.